Hi, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. So today I have Kyle Vine with me. We're going to be talking a little bit more in a conversation style regarding content marketing. So we're just going to go off and discuss a little bit more about that with you guys. I know these times social media is being flooded with all sorts of content shared, like memes or whatnot, or like people maybe marketing their business or their whatever they're doing. So first off, I wanted to again welcome Kyle with us and let you tell us a little bit more about yourself and what do you do?
Yeah, I'm just glad that we could make this happen because I mean we met on I can't remember which networking app it was, but it's been a couple years now. We've just been on and off and we've just talked about marketing and just gave feedback for things and it's fun. Uh so the biggest thing that I do is it's a company called Poetry Ghost, which I create written content and marketing strategies for businesses, and I help them just release their creativity and find ways to take what they're doing in day to day. So from around the house and from the business, and I just help them turn that into things they can post on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, blog articles, and just help, and especially with startups, to get them this boost so they can build a brand more than just a sales pitch.
Yeah, for sure. So essentially, yeah, like I wanted to start it off, like open the discussion more regarding, like I said earlier, there's obviously lots of things happening on social media. We don't have the luxury to like interact with people on a general basis. I know we necessarily haven't really met too often face to face, but like we pick up the phone. So I guess this is kind of still normal for us because that's kind of generally how we interacted. But there's a lot of things like I'm involved in sports. I'm involved with my clients and all that stuff. There's a lot of face to face happening. So now I can only resort to social media mostly in order to interact with people around me, friends, family, etc. So just want to get your take on that. Like, is there anything on social media that you thought was like, it's your background, so that you thought was like interesting and be like, okay, like this is it's kind of like taking this spin now, and it's quite interesting. Just tell us a little bit more about what you've noticed there, maybe in terms of content or whatnot.
I find it's really interesting seeing musicians starting to do interviews. The Because especially right now in the arts is a space that I do a lot of stuff in between shows of poetry and different things. But I've found that really interesting
Hmm.
because instead of having someone like us who are always in the business world and you'd expect that at one point in our careers we'll do interviews, right?
Yeah.
It's just kind of that career trajectory that
Yeah.
the brand enough. But I found it's fascinating to me how musicians have started doing it and how they've started taking these really casual conversations and they've turned it into a show or a podcast.
Yeah.
And it's really exciting to see. But that's a type of content online that I find has really drawn me in, just because you're able to see musicians talk to each other, or on the other side of it, you get people that are in the health and nutrition space
Hmm.
that they've started doing shows where they'll collaborate with someone else that's also in health. So if you have someone that does live blood testing and they pair with a nutritionist, they're probably friends already. But then you
Hmm.
get like this blend where they just talk about health and they just drink wine, and so it's really fun actually because it's not official, it's very casual and they're learning as they go. And so for someone like me that's so used to having it being manicured and kind of, I know the questions going into things, and I'm conscious of like the space behind me and the presentation and what I say. It's just really exciting for that homegrown, like local day-to-day stuff that is just, it's exciting.
Yeah. Like obviously I've noticed a lot of things happening there as well, especially small business owners or like independent um like employers, self-employed people who, like, are trying to really push as much value to their audience as they can, right? At the end of the day, yeah, like even myself, I'll, like, let's cut the tape, you know what I mean? Like I obviously I'm selling a service as a mortgage agent, so I'm trying to push as much content out there in order to inform people of, like, really what's available out there for them. At the end of the day, it could be something that you need now, it could be something that you need later, whatever. But it's the same thing with all the different types of business as well. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you touched upon health professionals and whatnot. There's many all sorts of things happening out there. But I think the important point here is to push value, give value to your audience in order to really inform them about what's available to them, what they can do, what they can use with the information that you provide them. Um, I don't know
And
if you want
it's,
to share some stuff on
yeah,
that.
well, and that's it's value is huge. I mean, it's something that, and value doesn't have to be like, it's not, it sounds like it's a huge thing, but as long as someone watches what you share or reads what you post and they find it somewhat valuable to their day, it's important, right? Like, like when if you post a photo of you with your dog and the dog is adorable, then that's
Mhm.
fine. If they smiled just a little bit, then you provide you what you posted was valuable to them.
It's
It
interesting.
makes
I like that. Yeah.
but I don't know, it's also the fact that uh content marketing and just creating things for people it is made to be such a big job, but in the end it's taking what is around you in life and then just making something out of it.
Hmm. Yeah. Like, I totally agree. Like, again, like I found it really interesting that your point there, like, is value cannot only be value about service or product that you're selling, or whatever. It could be emotional value, you know what I mean? I think that's where we're going into the whole
Yeah,
health, like, that's a mental health sort of realm where you know making people smile, feel something positive in their body. Like, I mean, a lot of the times if I'm going on social media, that's kind of like what I'm kind of going looking to do, right? Maybe I'm looking to scroll and then see this funny video and then, like, laugh out loud about it or share it with my partner and whatnot. But, like, you know what I mean? And then, like, keep going and then look for memes and maybe look for what's the latest on, like, maybe some business partners or maybe some friends, what they're up to. Maybe someone had a baby and I want to know. I was like, oh, maybe, like, they're gonna post today something about their third month old baby now and how they're doing and whatnot, right? So, like, again, I like there's a bad word about social media where people were used to creep. I don't creep. I go on my news feed and it's like whatever is there is there. You
I
know what
mean,
I
like,
mean?
also it's okay, it is okay to do that too, right? But
Yeah.
it's one of the, it really is, it's that it's making it something that seems so big, just breaking it down and realizing that, well, in the end it's just making it so that whatever you create is important to someone else.
That's it.
And you're right, like memes are fantastic, or seeing videos of running tips I find are valuable. I might not be using them right now because yesterday and the day before it snowed, but uh it's still like it, and a lot of it honestly is about the connection.
Hmm.
I think the biggest or the most important thing is that just whatever you put online, you have to actually try to connect with someone and get them on board with who you are as a person.
Yeah, totally agree. Some interesting stuff there we're going into.
Well, it
um,
builds, right? It's
yeah.
one of those. It's something that when you like, you have to look at the big picture in the ways that when you create content, or well, when you put anything online, and you just want to connect. And then if you, even if you are selling mortgages or selling content creation, or if you're selling ice to restaurants, it's, you make, if you can make a connection that's emotional,
Mhm.
then you're able to now, and then they'll start following you and they'll start paying attention. And then when you do post a pitch for a product or a sale, then then they already feel like they kind of know you.
Mhm.
You know, they feel like they see the person behind the business and they want to support that even more.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there something that like um let's say something that you were used to posting or sharing with some of your social media that like forced you to kind of take a different direction, because you know there's so many more eyes, maybe now like more than ever, it's the social media is flooded with all sorts of different stuff. It can be positive, negative messages. I think a lot of businesses have taken a different spin on the sort of marketing and the content that they're pushing, just because of just the effect of all of this, right? And different emotions, right? I feel like there's tides of emotion as we go through life. You know, if we're in a very negative downturn in terms of like how we generate the population generally feels, I feel like the marketing has to kind of like adapt to that as well. We're always adapting our marketing to what's really happening around us. So tell us a little bit more about like how that impacted maybe your marketing.
I've changed completely from the long form, so anything that's really long, stretched out, uh, long, like lengthy 30-minute plus interviews, and I've actually went to really small bursts, just because I started noticing that with everything online, most people, and myself included, honestly, are looking for short things they can take in because they know they can't really do much with it.
Hmm.
You know, like there's so much happening online that why make a lot of noise when there's already a circus happening behind you.
That's it.
And
Yeah.
so I've actually changed, like the with Poetry Ghost last month, it was National Poetry Month. So I did a 10 poet uh, feature series. So I just highlighted 10 poets from Sudbury. And on my personal, on Instagram, I've been highlighting some poetry and events happening. Uh, and I'm working on, or this week I'll be releasing a journal prompt with Poetry Ghost, and I've been sharing videos and concerts of people, and so the focus has, it took a while. Like at first I wasn't sure, but then 2 or 3 weeks in, I realized that there's no point putting anything really long and just dreadful to go through when you're already not okay with staying at home. You know, it's kind of like that psychology side of it, that if you think about the psyche of someone at home that's normally at work, they aren't looking to sit. They don't, you know, like I feel like they wouldn't want to be forced to stay somewhere for 30 minutes to an hour.
Yeah. Yeah.
So why not just give them a small piece of like three tips to take a good photo, or kind of like, you know, take that YouTube approach where they make it's like 10 or 5 or 8 tips, that BuzzFeed style.
Hmm.
You know,
So
it's
yeah, yeah. So just the last little part I wanted to touch upon before going. Oh, actually, to be honest, I think we have a lot of things that we want to discuss. And again, like like you just said, I was like, well, let's keep this short, right? But yeah. So you know what? We're probably gonna do another video. I'm sure we can like discuss about a lot more things. But I want to thank you for making yourself available today so we can chat about this together. I think you did bring a lot of value in terms of discussion, kind of like my aspect of things as well. Just wanted to give you the opportunity to share your social medias or podcast. I believe you have a podcast. So if you want to go ahead and do that.
Yeah, and if I'm glad that we were able to chat, you know, and especially just give some really applicable, just easy tips for for making things online, because it's not as complicated as people think. It's just a matter of how you do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I am on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook at Buddy the Prophet, PHET. And if you want to get some, if you want to have some journal prompts, see some poetry, or even to see how poetry and business can blend, then you can go to at Poetry Ghost Co. on all social media platforms. And otherwise, depending on if this is your type, but I have the two podcasts are Safe Space Connections and The Music Prophet, and they're both available on all streaming platforms. So if you're into business interviews and hearing about some Northern Ontario businesses and how they just function and the tricks they use to get by, or if you're out listening and you want to get a taste of the emerging artists from Northern Ontario, then The Music Prophet's for you. But otherwise, I'm glad we did this, man. I'm really happy that we had the chance to connect again, but in person. So.
Well, awesome, man. Thank you so much. Thank you for everyone that is able to watch this video. We took the time to do for you. Again, we wanted to. It was a discussion. We just wanted to share with all of you guys instead of doing it me and Kyle. We're like, hey, might as well share it with everyone.
Right, instead of keeping it secret.
Thank you so much, everyone, and stay tuned for more. Cheers. Take care.